know if you watch Queer Eye, I 100% cry every single time those guys give them a room makeover, like a house makeover, a full-on physical makeover, internal, mental, all the things. We're gonna do that for your business today. I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it because I care about you, and that is that it's time for a rebrand. Reinvention, rebrand, new brand, however you want to call it, we're gonna do it today. And maybe you don't consider yourself a brand yet, but if you're in the social media space, if you're in the online space, if you're creating content, you are a brand. And let me tell you one thing, my husband is the farthest from a social media person, and he has a brand. His reputation is, like, obviously in my eyes, the best one there is out there, but it's because a brand is just, that's what it is, your online reputation and pretty much what people say about you when you're not in the room. And this is important, especially if you're trying to build something powerful in the online space. So welcome, especially if you are ready to reinvent yourself for the new year, rebrand, and pretty much take it like, I'm gonna give you a makeover. I don't know if you watch Queer Eye, I 100% cry every single time those guys give them a room makeover, like a house makeover, a full-on physical makeover, internal, mental, all the things. We're gonna do that for your business today. Now, this is for you if you are a online creator, business owner that is starting to create content in the online space, as well, pretty much anyone that wants to be in the online space and really create that powerful brand. If you don't have a brand yet and you're like, literally, I don't even know what you're talking about, perfect. Stick around because this place is also for you. Now, the reason why I really wanted to tap into this is because earlier this year, I made a video talking about how to actually create New Year's resolutions that work, not just random resolutions that you make at the beginning of the year. And I used certain worksheets that helped me. I created them for myself and for the woman that I work with, but it really helps you dive in. It's like prompts, it guides you, and we're gonna do that today. I usually do it in January, so depending on when you're watching this, it's a little bit earlier, but we need to talk about this. Because rebranding allows you to reinvent yourself and just grab a hold of new opportunities, especially when it comes to personal growth and professional growth. And every time you make that change, it just helps you embrace that growth. Think about this, going to back to the makeover example, how do they feel after a good makeover? Now, whether you want to incorporate this in the new year, in a new quarter, or maybe it's just a random July Wednesday that you're watching this, it's okay. You can do this and you don't have to wait until the new year, until a Monday, until the beginning of the month to do this. Just start today. Now, before we start with all of the juicy tips I'm gonna give you, please press that like button and make sure to subscribe so we can let YouTube know that this is what you wanna watch. And you can continue helping the channel grow. Thanks. Okay, let's talk about this because the very first thing that you need to do is review yourself where you're at right now. It's basically an inventory. Things like, what are my biggest accomplishments this year? What were the biggest challenges I faced? How did I overcome them? What did I learn about myself in the past year? How can I improve my physical and mental well-being? What habits or behaviors do I want to change or develop? What relationships did I have and create? And we'll talk about relationships in a moment, okay? But what relationships did I have and create? And what did I invest in? Now you have to think about, like, what did you feel about this year? Was it just a complete trash can that you just want to set on fire? Or did you actually see some improvement? Did you see some things that probably you would have wished went better, but what was also super amazing about this year? And it's nice to be able to look at both. I want to give you an example of weight loss. Sometimes we don't see any changes in our weight loss and we're like, dude, when is this ever gonna get good? Like, when am I gonna lose these damn pounds? When am I gonna get a juicy behind? Like, when is it coming? When is the growth coming? It's not until someone gives us a compliment that we look muscular or we look slim, ooh, I like your shoulders, that we actually see that there's improvement. Or maybe we see a picture of ourselves. This is the review because maybe in the past 12 months you haven't been able to see a lot of change until you take a look at your accomplishments, your growths, and your challenges. It looks like a little circle / graph thing, and I highly suggest that you look into that because it's a visual tool and you get to assess what you think that you need to improve on, what needs a little bit more quality time. Now, if you know me and you've been here for a while, you know that I don't love the word balance because I don't believe in it. I believe that we're in different seasons in our life and we don't truly have the balance, but you can live in different seasons. Before I go on, so you totally don't sidetrack, let me explain in a quick minute what season means for me. So I've been a mom for 4 years now, and my balance back then was non-existent, okay? Before I had my child, my husband and I were crazy, like unhealthy entrepreneurs to the max. Now for us, that's what we needed. We needed to be able to be together and really find our passion together. And although that did require a lot of sacrifice as far as the relationship and partying and all of these things, we were okay with that because with us, we wanted to, we were newlyweds. So we wanted to be together and we wanted to work together and we just wanted to get to know each other better. So that was the season that we were in. A lot of people probably would have been like, you guys never went out. You guys never, did fun things. And again, that was okay with us at the time. Now, our life cannot be like that anymore. We have a child. We have to spend time with her. She requires a lot of attention and we can't work day and night. It's impossible to do so. So the season we're in now is we need to be super organized with our time. We have to be able to carve out time not just for her, but for our business, for the channel, for our content creation, for our families, for our parents. So that's the season we're in now. And guess what? That also will require sacrifices. Like, we're not going to be out eating all the time. I prefer to go to his parents' house or my parents' house so we can spend time with them versus just to go out to eat. Does that make sense? That's what I mean by seasons. And I hope that this circular graph really guides you through everything that you would love to improve. So in the beginning of the year, when I did do this revision / rebrand that I need to do, I did that in January because I had an episode, and I've already talked about this a few times on the channel, but I was heavily drinking because of my own stress, my own self-worth, everything that was going on in my life. I was heavily relying on alcohol. And when I decided to just make a change and like, okay, I'm gonna rebrand myself, and that's gonna obviously lead into my business, it completely changed everything for me. To the point where if you just see my videos the way that I was doing them on YouTube, I mean, I think they were okay for what I had back then, but they're just completely different. I was in a different space. I was trying to pull myself out of the hole. And that's where this quote comes that really resonated with me. And I hope it resonates with you. It says, success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. I was making a lot of money in 2020. Like the most money I've ever made in my entire life, and extremely juicy paychecks I have never seen at once. And then 2021 it started lessening, and I would say 2022 was probably the worst financial year for me personally. And it really kicked my butt. So I feel like this year finally was when I was able to make those changes, but it also had to do with wanting that change, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to do that. PS, when are we gonna start saying post-pandemic? Because it's been about 4 years now. Yeah, we need to move on, just saying. So now that you took inventory of yourself and you're like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I love doing, this is what I don't really think I should continue doing, this is my accomplishments, all the inventory that you want of yourself. Now you need to talk about the values that you want to live by, okay? Now before you're like, okay, I have values, like I know what that is. Hold on, let me explain. Think of the words that you want to live by, and I'm gonna give you an example. This year, I picked 5 words that will equal my values because I just had to completely change the way that I was living, thinking, acting, all of that. So I decided 2 of the 5, one of them was growth and the other one was peace. So what does growth for me look like? Well, growth for me was I need to get out of my comfort zone. Growth for me was not be in this exact same place I am right now this time next year. So January 2024, I cannot be in the same place. And it was super scary because it felt like the moment that I made that decision, like so many people completely left me. I would say left me, right? They just left my life, and it was such a scary feeling because I felt like everything was crumbling in front of me. Literally in the past 10 months, not only did I get my first 4-figure brand deal, I've never even had a brand deal, period. That's actually number one. I got a brand deal. Number two, I got my first 4-figure brand deal. And I only had, not only, but you know, I didn't have a huge following. I had 300 subscribers on YouTube, 5,000 on TikTok, and 5,000 on Instagram. So it's not like just because I got a large following. I also had an opportunity to become an ambassador for a company that I absolutely love called Snipfeed. And they were able to invite me to become their monetization coach. I got sponsored videos, a virtual speaking opportunity that helped me get so many connections, as well as a paid virtual speaking opportunity. So once that, I really do feel like that was my value, growth. No matter what, I need to live by this one word and continue putting myself into places where I can accept different and new opportunities. So as far as peace, again, like I told you, I had to let go of a lot of people, and I would say it was the most painful thing I had to do because I was very familiar. You know, I was just so attached, and it almost felt like a divorce of so many close friendships, I would say. And I would say it was hard for me to the point where I just felt super, again, worthless, just a lot of mental, internal mental battles. But I also knew the pros. Like, I mentally did my own like notes and doodles in my brain, like, what are the pros of this? Like, what am I actually getting out of this relationship? How is this mutually beneficial for me? I have a lot of peace in my life. I've been able to say that I've had a lot of growth this year, and honestly now pretty much part of my non-negotiable. We are going. I absolutely love talking about this. This is my favorite thing. I do have to tell you, by the way, I have a booklet for this. I made it 100 times better. The 2022 version, that was cute. You know, it was cute. It did the job. I have revised this for 3 years now. Every single end of the year, I grab my girls together and we do a revision of our year. This is the best booklet yet. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna be talking about. The next thing you're gonna do in order for you to rebrand yourself, get to the next level for this coming year, is money. The very first thing you have to do is revise, okay? Not only are you gonna see how much money did you make if you do have a business, or if you have any type of creator fund, or if you're pursuing any type of affiliate deals or digital products, you need to know how much money you made. Side note, I went to a conference, and it was my network marketing conference, and it was saying like how much, people were asking like how much money you've made accumulatively. They launched a new program if you made 6 figures. It's crazy how a lot of people that I personally know do not know how much money they have made in their business, in their creator, you know, lifetime. You need to know. If you're trying to do this as a business, how do you not know how much money you're making? Please, you don't have to do it exactly like this. You can do it in an Excel sheet or a Notion, something like that. But the point is, if you're not a computer girly, just go pen to paper, go in your bank accounts and figure out how much money you're making. It's crazy. I went to a conference. They introduced a new program in the company I partnered up with, and it was if you hit your first $100,000 milestone. So many girls didn't know if they were even close. Like, you have to know these things. And once you do know how much money you've made, I suggest, this is just my suggestion, I suggest you also go in and see what you're spending on. How much money you're making, but also what you're spending on. Because I promise you, you don't know how much you're spending on TikTok Shop, Amazon, coffee. You say, oh my God, I'm on a budget, but you don't even really know what you're spending on. And I promise you, you probably are overspending on something that might be unnecessary. I'll talk to you about a few money tips in a moment. Once you know how much you've spent, how much money you're making, now you need to figure out how much money do you want to make with your products, coaching, all of that. It's not just wishful thinking. It helps you manifest. It helps you really take a look at the possibility. And when you write it on paper, let's say that you only want to make $3,000. I mean, that's cool, amazing, good for you. But writing that down, does that even really motivate you? Like, we need to start thinking big. And I'm gonna give you a money plan. This is why you do need to go download the new business reset. Okay, I'm gonna give you this money plan, and let me just read you a few things. Okay, it says, these are a few things that have helped David and I. Start by tracking your spending. This will help you understand where your money is going and identified areas that you can cut back. So I know that nobody likes to be on a budget. That's me. But here is the problem. You cannot afford to do that right now. I know Instagram tells you like, oh, I don't have to stop spending on Starbs because, you know, I'm gonna make more money. Okay, stop. Just stop. And I tell you this with love because David and I lived off credit cards in 2020 when I was finally getting, you know, money up. We decided to just live off the credit cards. And recently, 4 years later, we have been able to pay off the $40,000 that we racked up in 2020. So we can live. And I tell you this because it's possible. You can cut down. You can pay your credit cards in cash. You can do this, but you need a money plan. I hope that I reiterated that. I'm gonna give you 2 more tips. It says, next thing, identify your financial goals. You need to determine what you want to achieve with your money, whether that's paying off your debt, saving for retirement, maybe a rainy day fund. A lot of people I know, including myself, when I got married, 8 years ago when I got married, we had $0 in savings. We didn't have a rainy day fund. What would you do if you cannot work for 6 months? I mean, nowadays we could probably open like a digital product shop and make money. I get it. But do you have that right now? Like, we need to get serious. Last one that I'm gonna read, I have a few right here, but last one I'm gonna skip a few and I'm gonna say this. Invest in your financial education, books, courses, seminars, financial literacy. Like, you need to understand all of these things. Okay, so you have your money plan, and the next thing that you're gonna do is figure out your story. Sometimes we don't understand, and yes, it correlates, I promise. You're like, wait, how did I go from money to story? Well, when you start getting clear on that aspect, the personal aspect, now you can be confident showing up like this on social. And when you feel good about your financial plan and you're gonna make it, and I'm gonna have money in the bank, and I'm gonna cut down so I can speed up the process to have money in the bank. Now you can start telling your story. And this is for your personal brand. So for your story, we've talked about this before. I'll link a whole video that talks step by step how to create your story. But when you start sharing your story, you're gonna inspire somebody. And it's crazy to me that every time I talk about my DUI or my husband's lawsuit or how I almost died when I gave birth, like, all of those stories get so much interaction because people want to connect with that, and somehow they feel like they're part of your story. In order for you to be confident about telling your story, write it out. Don't worry, I don't have one prompt. I have 2 whole pages of how to create your story, how to say it on social media so you can continue to grow your audience. Now, when doing that, one of the biggest misconceptions I see is that a rebrand is just changing your color. And it's not. It's everything. So that's why I really focused in on the personal aspects. You don't only need to focus on the fonts, the colors, the branding, visual branding, the logos. That's cool. But how do you show up also? One thing I had to do too when it came to branding myself this year was, how am I showing up on camera? You know I don't care if I just have a messy bun and no lashes. I mean, scroll on YouTube. Some of the videos, I'm literally in pajamas and that's okay with me. But I wasn't gonna use that as an excuse anymore. I don't want to show up half-assed. If that's what I can do and that's the energy I have, that's great, but I'm gonna make an effort because I want to show up for me. And I feel good when I get ready, and I feel good when I have lashes on and I do my hair and I put some BB cream on. So that's another aspect of rebrand. How do you want to feel? How do you want to dress? How do you want to show up? If you're at CVS, I don't know if there's a CVS where you live, if you are at Target and you find your ideal client, would you be okay with presenting yourself? That's what I always think about this year. If I go to Target and I find my dream person, I don't even know how I would find them, but let's just say I bump into my dream person that I want to do business with, or my ideal client, and I show up like messy bun, no lashes, no brows, I wouldn't even want to say hi to her. So that's one of the things that you need to also focus on. How do I want to feel and how do I want to show up on social? Now, once you have all of these things, I don't talk about this often, but I will very quickly, which is figuring out your dream schedule. Your dream schedule is something that you may have to think about. But I think that if you don't create a dream schedule, you know, it's never gonna happen. I understand that sometimes you might have children, husband, full-time job, and you can't just fully dream about doing whatever you want, but you can still have somewhat of a dream schedule. Maybe in the mornings, you really want to focus on having those morning workouts. Maybe in the evenings, you want to have a night routine. What do you want your days to look like? Even with a full-time job, even with children, even with husbands and all of the responsibilities we have. For example, my best days are when I work out and when I read. Those are my absolutely best days. So my dream schedule is being able to wake up slowly. I just have to, you know, get my kid ready and all of that stuff, but waking up slowly, like not rushed, like not like wake up, roll out of bed and leave. I can't do that. I am flustered and I have high anxiety. So if I am able to wake up slow, even with an alarm, wake up, read my book, have my coffee, relax, get like warm up into the day, and then get into a workout, that is my ideal day. You know what? That requires me to wake up earlier than my child. You might need somewhat of a discipline to be able to either wake up earlier or go to sleep earlier in order for you to have your dream schedule. Now, this is a lot of stuff. It's not gonna be overnight that you're just gonna be like, okay, cool, like I'm done. No, it is going to require you to really sit down and think about these things. So it might take a few days for you, and that's okay. That's why you have the prompts. So make sure that you grab that New Year business reset. But one thing that you have to do too is reflect every single week. And I actually got this from Passion Planner. They came out with a planner. I don't even know if I have it here, but they came out with a planner that was a daily planner. They used to have just weekly. And when they came out with the daily planner, they had a weekly reflection. Because every single week, they want to make sure that you're doing good. And I found that to be so helpful. Every week I said, okay, was this a good week? How am I feeling? What have I been able to accomplish? And it gets me to my goal closer. So there's 8 questions. I'm going to read you 3. How did you practice self-care this week? What is one moment where someone helped you? Who or what is keeping you motivated and inspired this week? It's so beautiful. So you can print it like this, but I really do hope that this inspires you to not only rebrand yourself, reinvent yourself, and that way it could bleed into your business. But what about the colors? What about like Instagram? What about all of that? What about the way that you speak? What about your reels, your TikToks, your videos? In the next video, I'm gonna tell you how to rebrand yourself on social media, and if you haven't been on social in a while, how to come back. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.